Becoming Awesome with Peter D. Expand your consciousness. Hello, welcome to Becoming Awesome. I'm Peter D, and I help people expand your consciousness. Today we're going to be talking about blocked emotions and how to release them. Holding charges, that's what I call blocked emotions. Holding charges is the biggest barrier there is to raising your frequency and really enjoying the benefits of the golden age, life in 5D Gaia. So stick with me, let's learn some theory, and then I'm going to end this podcast with a beautiful process that you can use anytime to help you move your charges, clear your emotions that are trapped, and raise your frequency. If you've already heard this podcast, you can skip ahead to the 27-minute and 30-second mark and just tune into the process. Also, if you want just the process alone, you can help me out. Below this video, there's going to be a link that you can make a donation. And that'll help me out, and it'll give you access to the Becoming Awesome community. And you'll not just get this process, you'll get tons of processes, meditations, classes, and other group interaction to help you grow and ascend in our new golden energy. If you're listening to this podcast on audio, you can go to the webpage becomingawesome.podbean.com, and you can click on the patron button, and there you'll be able to access all the tools and community that I've been speaking about. Now, one more bit of housekeeping. Hate to do this, but the reality is, in this day and age, our media is controlled by corporations, and they use computers to determine which videos and which podcasts they recommend to people. So please like this, please share it, please push the subscribe button. It's real important that you help other people gain access to the tools to become awesome. And the only way that's happening is if you help the algorithm with the computer. So please go ahead and subscribe. Now let's dive right in. Up until now, it's always been a thought that there's love and light and then darkness and hate. And if you just stay in the love and light, then everything's hunky-dory and your soul ascends and everything is peaceful, harmony on the planet. That used to be true when we were in 3D. When we were in 3D, there was duality. Good was here, bad was here. And you can choose your side, and you'd have the consequence of feeling good or feeling terrible, right? But now we're moving into 5D. 5D is a whole different set of rules. And we need to get off of the dualistic paradigm of this is good and that's bad. It's now just experience. And what you choose to do and interact with the experience determines how your life is affected and how the life of those around you is affected. You know, it used to be that the oil would float so high and you'd put water in and it wouldn't mix. There'd be these layers. Now the oil is in the water and they're both together. And we have to embrace this new paradigm, which means we can't just think that everything's going to be peaches and cream and tacos and hot sauce. We can't just love and light our way out of this. In fact, we need to embrace what we've been holding inside us that we've labeled as bad. Now, I don't want to call this shadow work because a lot of people call it shadow work, and I hate that because it denigrates the emotions and experiences you've had. They were just simply your reactions to what was going on. But because we judged it as uncomfortable or bad or not light and loving enough, we forced it down. And by forcing it down, it became stuck. And in that stuckness, there's a magnetic energy that's created. Quite literally. It attracts. The universe is designed to give you beneficence. It's designed for inherent thriving, okay? But you need to attract that to you. And if you hold an emotion that's suppressed because you were fearful and didn't want to deal with it, or because you were angry and didn't want to let it out, you hold it, it becomes trapped, and then that becomes its own orbit of magnetic energy, attracting experiences to you in an effort to get you to release it. And those experiences, then we judge, oh, this is bad too, and so we retreat further. And the block becomes stronger. And then more crap gets dumped on us because we have more magnetic energy. We're changing all that. Once you clear what's held negative in you, you're going to start to experience the world differently. Here's one fundamental concept I'd really like to share with you. Anything fully expressed turns to bliss. See, the natural state in the universe is bliss. It's a beneficent universe. It's designed for us to express our desires and feel the love and joy. But if we don't express what comes up, we don't fully express it, we build a blockage, and we cannot then feel the love and light and joy. We have to fully express what was blocked. And then it just naturally flows. Yeah, I hate to say it, but the only way through it is through it. So you're going to have to really bring it upon yourself to decide where you want to go as we move into these new energies. Because manifestation is getting faster and quicker as the earth, Gaia, ascends into 5D and we ascend along with her. Our desires get expressed more easily, more quickly. Things just happen with more synchronicity. So if we're holding blockages, oh my God, those blocks get expressed more quickly. We attract more problems. We attract more difficulties in our lives. So you're going to have to make a choice because Gaia has ascended already. She's just waiting for us to come along and move into 5D with her. Do you want it to be a rough ride, or do you want to start to drive the train and maybe make it smoother? Maybe start to enjoy all those good gifts that Gaia is giving you quicker and easier. That's what we got to decide. Just look around you outside and you see chaos. Oh my God, there's viruses. There's, waves. They're beaming in from outer space, on these satellites that have all these different communication things, and that's messing me up. There's riots. There's this versus that. That's not an accident. That's all happening now. It's happening because the collective is starting to express what's been hidden and trapped and suppressed in our collective consciousness for so long. Now, you can either just go into the chaos and go, oh, chaos, and then you'll live chaos. Or you can understand this process and facilitate it by clearing the blockages you personally hold and then become more of a beacon and more of a radiant way shower, more of a person broadcasting a better energy that's going to make it easier for everybody, especially you. That's the beauty of this. You do your work, you get all the goodies, and everybody else gets them too, because we're all one. Now, the nature of most stuck emotions is that they're uncomfortable. They became stuck because we chose not to deal with them when the process first, or the experience first began. All right? So because we're in a pattern of not dealing with them, the nature of the stuck emotion is it generates more and more mental distractions for us to avoid it. If we don't embrace the emotion, our mind's going to go into overdrive trying to get us to avoid. Now, I know none of you ever do any of this. I know I'm the only person who gets lost in food or sex or Netflix binging or sports, following sports teams or drugs and alcohol, right? I'm the only person in the whole world who's done that. None of you ever dive into those things so you can avoid your feelings. Right, yeah, let's get real, okay? So, you understand how we get further and further removed from our emotion by getting stuck in that process? And the only way out of it is through it. If we continue to rely on our distractions, we become prey. And I mean that P-R-E-Y. The animals out there eat us alive. On an energetic level, negative energies just are sucked by beings that are kind of locked into that. There's beings that way. They're not in 5D, but they're still in 4D. And as we transition, we're going to have to pass through that. Do we want to keep feeding them and all the elites that they control that are setting this whole system up? Do we want to keep giving our money to companies that sell us addictive poison to children? Tobacco? ads for kids about drinking? Do we want to keep supporting that? Do you want to keep supporting a medical system that's not really interested in your healing, but interested in the longer you stay sick, the more you have to pay them so they do well? And guess what? The same small percentage of the population that owns all those medical facilities also owns those corporations that's selling you the stuff that makes you sick. You know, that stuff they call food. That's all packaged and stuff. Yeah. So you get how it works. The only way out of this is through it. It means it's incumbent on us to find the courage to go within and embrace our charges. Final thing I want to say before I move on is, the more you hold trapped emotions, the more likely you're to get illnesses. I mean, look at all Louise Hay's work. It goes very clearly into the emotional cause of illness. Look at Bruce Lipton's work. Very, very clear on how you hold these thoughts repetitively and it gets expressed in our cells. Medicine's starting to understand the mind-body connection. You don't need that stress. And you don't relieve the stress by avoiding it. Give it full expression, it clears, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my body's feeling good. Okay. Now, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to take you through a simple process on how you can clear your charges, your trapped emotions. I call them charges, okay? But there's one more teaching I'd like you to understand so you'll be better able to navigate with that. I already taught you that anything fully experienced turns to bliss. All right. And I forget that I use the word teach a lot because I'm a PhD. I used to teach college classes and this is my mode. I teach. So you got to forgive me if you think I'm being all arrogant. It's what I do. So I'd like to talk about awareness is the first step. Awareness is the last step. I learned that from Sri Bhagavan when I was at Oneness University, taking one of the classes there. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is the last step. Okay? Your observation in and of itself is transformative. If you just observe something, what's there is released. What's there is experienced. What's there is free. The trouble is, we have difficulty staying in observation because most of us, me too, most of us react rather than respond to what's going on in the world around us. It's just an automatic trigger. And by trigger, I mean there's a trapped emotion, built up steam held inside you. Something happens that triggers it, because remember that magnetic energy pulls these events to you to break this stuff loose. That's the way life on this planet works. Something happens outside you, it triggers, and it's an unconscious reaction because the pent-up emotion takes off. Oh my God, I blew my stack again. Oh my God, that guy cut me off in traffic. Let me lay on the horn. And this all happens unconsciously. It just comes out. Okay? This is kind of the other side of the law of attraction. What you focus on expands, it comes to you. By clearing out your trapped emotions, you allow more goodness to come to you. You attract it, as opposed to just, oh my God, you're being triggered, reaction, trigger, reaction, trigger, reaction, and it's an endless cycle. Now, I already mentioned that anything fully experienced turns to bliss. You've seen it. Little kids, this used to freak me out. I never understood how this could work. People would tell me all the time. I saw it, but I never got it. A kid would fall down, hurt himself, get in a spat with another little kid. They'd cry, and let it out. And as soon as the crying was done, boom, 10 seconds later, they're just playful, happy. Because there was no stored, trapped emotion there. So they could fully experience what was going on. This is before the age where parents laid into kids. Don't cry, be a man, hold that back. That's not what, grown-up girls do. Whatever. The kids would let it out, and then it'd be fully experienced, they'd be back to bliss. So you're going to have the bliss when you can have the experience with just observation. Now, there's so many New Age teachers out there, and I love them. I listen to a lot of them on YouTube. It helps me, helps my mind stay in the focus about what's going on. But a very common error I hear is they're saying, oh, you just got to observe this, and then you got to do your best to do it neutrally. Just do the observation without judging. Well, let me tell you, if you have trapped emotions, that's darn near impossible. Because the trapped emotion is going to feed a thought, it's going to feed a reaction that is in and of itself judgment. It's almost impossible to get out of the judgment cycle, no matter how aware you are, if you're still fueling it with trapped emotions. Now, you can try mentally a lot, but I've heard it said that that's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's still going down. Or you can clear out the trapped emotions. And then as that becomes lighter and lighter in you, you have more and more experience where it's like, oh yeah, that just happened. Because there's no backlog trying to get released. And so you have more proportional, more appropriate responses. You respond rather than react. So I think this is a missing thing. That's why I'm started this podcast series, is to help out with the tools that I think are really important here, things that have helped me, that other teachers have given to me. And that's why I say I think it's a big mistake to try to just be neutral and try to just observe without first clearing everything you're holding. And here's the good news. The planet's changing. The more you clear yourself, the more you're going to clear those around you. You're moving dense pockets of energy off the planet. And that makes it easier for the other people walking around because they're suddenly in lighter fields, higher frequency fields. And then as their consciousness raises, they can choose to help a lot, or they can keep fighting it and suffer the consequences of all the charges coming out uncontrolled. Either way, you got to clean up the basement before you build the foundation and get to the upper stories of this beautiful house. So I'm going to recommend that until you feel some equilibrium on your trapped emotions, that you spend 10 minutes a day. This is what I was taught when I was at Oneness University. 10 minutes a day and you'll thrive. 20 minutes a day and you'll transform. So let's look at what I'm asking you to do here. This is what I'm going to recommend doing. Start with fear, because that's pretty much at the root of most anger, most trapped emotions. Anger is also another big one, so you can do both of them or either of them. Start with fear, and just make a list of every trapped emotion you have in that category. Make a list. Go as far back in your memory as you can. What were you scared of? What pissed you off that was angry and caused all this stuff? Make a nice list. Then set aside 10 to 20 minutes a day to do your inner work. This is so important. I cannot stress this enough. All the outer stuff comes to you. All the blessings come to you with ease when you're clear internally. Okay? So, you keep thinking, oh, I got to work hard at this job. I got to do this so she'll love me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, maybe. But if you clear out your inner stuff, that stuff just comes to you and you're like, what? I'm doing that with only 10 or 20 minutes a day? Yep. Start at the top of the list. So whatever's on the top of the list, or when you go to do your process, if you're feeling something that came up that day that you're aware of, just move that to the top of the list because it's up for you. And work through each item. Do the process as many times as it takes to clear that item. Strike it off your list. Go to the next one. Now, when you first start, the list may actually get longer instead of shorter, because if you clear the first stuff you're holding, another layer might surface. Oh my God, when's this going to end? This stuff hurts. Well, yes, of course it hurts. That's why you avoided it your whole life. And that's why you need to put on the big boy pants, put on the big girl skirt. Excuse me, that was sexist, pants and skirt. So whatever it is you want to put on down there, put on the big part, okay? And start to do what's necessary. Start to be a warrior in your life and embrace what you previously judged, but is still a part of you. Because remember, if you're judging it and it's inside you, you're judging yourself. exercising self-hate by saying, I'm not going to feel this emotion. I'm not going to have this anger. I'm not going to have this fear. It's just more self-hate and just keeps you stuck. You got to embrace you. You got to embrace all of you. Because remember, in 5D, the oil and the water is together. And you're together. And you're whole. Okay? Work through the list. It may get longer at first, but then you're going to start noticing it gets shorter. And keep doing it until your charges are gone. And you're going to be amazed at how much easier, with grace and blessings, it's all going to come to you. I've been teaching spiritual classes for about a decade now. I was in beautiful Alamogordo, New Mexico, and I had a student named Daryl. And this guy was kind of interesting because everybody said, you got to be careful with him. He's so curmudgeon-y and he treats people this way and that way. And he was kind of bent over, had a cane and everything. And we went through the class. I taught people how to move charges. We spent the weekend moving charges. And then I said, just what I told you guys, 10 minutes a day to thrive, 20 minutes a day to transform. And I said, this is going to bring stuff up. You're going to hate it at first, so call me if you need to. So that's why if you become a community member, I'll be able to be in contact with you and help guide you through some of this stuff, because at first it's very difficult. So a few days later, Daryl calls me up. Peter, I'm doing this. Great, Daryl. Well, what am I supposed to do? Feel it, be aware of it, spend time with it. But then what do I do? Nothing. You just do that. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is the last step. Fully express it, I'll turn to bliss. So I talked him down and he did that. Never heard from him again until 6 months later. I'm back in Alamogordo. I'm teaching another class. And Daryl walked in. I did not recognize him. He was standing upright. He used to have a cane, but now he was using it more like a prop, like a stick to move around and be joyful with. His face was lighter. He looked younger. I started talking to his friends and they said, yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but he's a different person. He treats us all differently now. Like life is so much happier around him and he's so much happier. And so I said, Daryl, what happened? And he said, I just move my charges every day. And this can happen to you. I'm praying and hoping it happens for you. I did this for a full summer. Not quite. It was about 2 months. Every day, did 10, 20, 30 minutes sometimes. And what I noticed was that I gained this sense of control in my life. I felt like I was driving the train instead of being pulled along by it. And as you move into higher states of awakening, it doesn't do you any good to have the energy around you or your consciousness be different if you're choosing to run old programs and old patterns. So I started saying, wow, I can be more, I can expand, I can become awesome. I was lighter, more peaceful, way less stress in my life. My relationship with my wife improved. We were just dating at that time. This was maybe 8 years ago. And she noticed it too. And what happened was that she would not trigger me anymore. You see, I used to go to AA meetings. God saved my life. Thank you. Anyway, when we were at those AA meetings, we used to joke with each other. We'd sit there during our shares and go to a person and go, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Because it'd be pushing people's buttons, right? That's how it is. That's what a trigger is. So what happened is where my wife used to trigger me, it no longer was a trigger because there was no longer pent emotions. So she would just have her action and I would have my response instead of my reaction. Man, life has been really sweet because of that. And then shortly after my awakening, I was walking through Trader Joe's, doing a little shopping. And, the more you do this process and the more you do this kind of work, you get into oneness with the people around you. That's natural. That's what's happening. And first time it happened to me, I'm walking through the store and I could see everybody's face and immediately feel their trapped emotions because I was one with them. Now you may think, oh, this is scary. I don't want anybody else's stuff because my stuff's so hard already. No, that's not what it was like. Without me thinking, I automatically went into prayer for these people. Oh, wow, they're holding this. Divine, please send them a little help here. They didn't know they were being prayed for. I felt great the more I was exposed to the people and their problems around me, the more I, without thinking, automatically just went into prayer for them because it was oneness. So praying for them was praying for me. And then I felt better and better. This is what I'm trying to encourage you to embrace as we move into 5D. Okay. Not only will you help yourself, you're going to help the world. You're changing the frequency. You're moving darkness off the planet. That makes it easier for other people to respond rather than react. So this is really the great work. That's what the one teacher, Ramtha, used to call it, the great work. And so, are you ready to do the great work? So we're going to start this process now. Please do not do this if you're driving. If you're listening to this podcast and driving, do not do this now. Wait till you get home. You should be alone. You should be comfortable. You might want to sit up so that you don't have a tendency to fall asleep. I do my best work lying down, but I can keep myself awake. I used to fall asleep whenever I would touch this stuff because it was another defense mechanism. If you fall asleep, sit up. Otherwise, get comfortable. You can lie down, whatever. Get yourself a glass of water. If you're worried about being disturbed or your family thinks you're going to be crazy, tell them you're taking an acting class and you're practicing some vocal acting lessons on how to emote. All right? And that'll get through to them until they get enough consciousness and awareness to accept what's going on and maybe start doing it themselves. All right. Now, last thing is I want you to know that I've already prayed this up and my spirit team is here with me. My sacred higher self, source, many ETs, some entities that are great beings, and they've agreed to help with this process for you. So there's going to be an overlay of an energetic transmission. There's going to be energy sent to you that's going to help free you and heal you. You just need to take the responsibility to do the work to stay with what comes up. All right? You may or may not get shown the root cause, but it doesn't matter. 90% of the clearing is on the unconscious level. Trust that your divine is taking you through it and know that you're getting help through frequency that's embedded in this video and podcast. You ready? Here we go. Please invoke your divine. Know that you're not alone. Ask your sacred higher self to be with you now. Know that as you do this process, your source, your divine is holding your hand. You're not alone. Now please bring in your spirit team if you work with spirit. Angels, ETs, extra-dimensional beings, dragons, pixies, the whole lot. Great. Ask them to be with you. You can even ask your ancestors to join you. Now please take a few deep breaths. And now state your intent. Make it very clear, out loud. Say to yourself, through this process, I will completely heal and release the charges and trapped emotions I'm addressing. Through this process, I completely heal and release the charges and trapped emotions I will address. Okay, go look at the first charge on your list, or if something's up for you in the moment, just notice what that is. See if you have a reaction when you read it. See if there's a tightness in your gut or your heart, or you clench somewhere, or See if it's still valid. It's a valid charge. If it is, try to find a place in your body that you're feeling it. So you got a crawl in your throat. You have a little thing in your gut. So your shoulder achy, is a pain in the neck. It might show up as a knot, an ache, a tightness. It could even be a repetitive thought. Identify it. Describe what it looks like or feels like. Please don't use any negative terms. It's been judged enough. Don't say, oh, I've got this angry red ball of fire inside me. Nah. Say, okay, I've got a sphere that's this certain color and it feels like it's like poking me here. It's tight, whatever. Be neutral as you describe it. Don't lay any more judgment on it. Go ahead and notice where you're feeling it. Now spend a few moments breathing deeply into the blockage. Take a breath. See it fill up that space. Do that for the next minute. Now tell your charge, you're welcome here. Emotion, you are welcome here. Charge, you are welcome here. Say the word. Let it know that you're embracing it. It's welcome. Say this several times while you continue breathing into the location of the charge. Now give your charge permission to completely express itself. It's especially important that it be allowed to physically express. So as you breathe into it, you might find yourself shaking or crying or thrashing about. Breathe into it and allow that. If the emotion wants to speak through your voice, give it voice. Scream or yell or curse. Whatever vocal expression comes up. Don't try to calm it or soothe it or sing to it or make it okay. Don't go to the love and light. Let it express on its own terms. Breathe into the charge. Breathe into your throat. Let the sound out. Let your body express. That's good. Keep breathing. Go deeper, let it out. You're doing great. Don't resist. Don't fight. Keep breathing into the charge. Keep expressing it through your body and your voice. Stay with it. Hold the charge like it's a little baby if it's crying. Watch it like you would a child having an anger fit. Let it out without judgment. Love that it's coming to you and expressing. Remember, charge, you are welcome here. Emotion, you are welcome here. Love it as it expresses. Love yourself for expressing. Keep breathing into it. If it's starting to wind down, just notice that it's getting on its last gasp. Let that out. Stay with it. Eventually it's going to burn out. Many of us have the tendency to say, oh, I'm done now because it was so scary, and we run from it. And we kind of shut down the cycle before it's fully complete. So check to see if it's really burned out. Take another few deep breaths into the charge. State what it was that's bugging you. See if there's still a reaction, a tension, or an emotion or a thought associated with it. If there is, remind your charge, you're welcome here. You can fully express. So let's go back into it. Breathe deeply into the charge. Breathe deeply into your throat. Let out what it needs to say. Let out the physical expression, shaking or crying or sobbing or whatever. Feel it fully. Let the pain get bigger, not smaller. That's great. Keep breathing into it. Get the last little dregs of it. Let it out. As the charge runs down, thank it. Literally, say thank you. It's been with you for so long. If nothing else, be grateful for that. Thank it for expressing to you. Ask the emotion if there's any information it wants to give you. Does it want to talk to you? Show you anything? Was it trying to protect you? Thank it and listen. It's okay to hold yourself in a nice hug while you do. You might not receive any information. That's okay. Continue to express gratitude to the charge. Now ask your sacred higher self to fill any empty spaces that the charge previously occupied. Ask it to fill it with auspicious quality, with high frequency energy of auspicious qualities. Literally, as you breathe, see yourself connected to Source and feel the light energy, the frequency energy come through your crown into your body, into the place the charge was held. And just know that whatever was there before is now being filled with divine, auspicious qualities. Keep breathing and be aware of that process and how it feels. Drink in that feeling and affirm, you are now more clear. You are now lighter and freer, and better able to receive Gaia's blessings on new earth. Say it out loud. I am lighter, I am freer, I am clearer. I am now better able to receive Gaia's blessings in the new earth energy. Okay. Check and see if the charge is fully cleared. If it's not, see if you're ready to just go back and replay the tape and go right to this process again. Otherwise, pick it up tomorrow or start on your new charge if you feel like this one's fully done. You did great. So let's close with a moment of gratitude. Let's finish the experience with that energetic frequency of gratitude. Thank yourself for staying present. Thank your charge for what it gave you and for what it's transmuted into. Thank your Source for bringing you on this beautiful, beautiful journey. Okay, you're amazing. You're braver than I possibly can know because you're staying with this. It's not easy work, but you're going to get so many good benefits. You're going to become lighter. You're going to allow higher frequencies in. You're going to clear out the density that's all around you. You're basically going to become awesome. That's why I'm doing these podcasts. My calling was very, very clear from Source. Get this message out. Get these tools out. Not just the messages, the tools. Now, please remember, we're playing a game in the Matrix that's still owned by 3D entities that want to suppress information like this. So please subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube video channel. Please like it and share it. It helps the algorithm, helps more people get attuned to this. If you would like, you can join the Becoming Awesome community. Check the link below the video on how to make a donation. That'll make you part of this community, give you access to all these tools and interaction with everybody else and myself. Or, if you're listening, becomingawesome.podbean.com. Click the Patreon button. I've got so much gratitude for you. You know, I knew what it was like. I cleared my stuff. I did my work. I started out as a child who was abused and hated the world and went through addiction. I know what it's like to have trapped charges and emotions. I know what it's like to be on this side of it, and I cannot tell you how happy and grateful I am that you're making the journey to free yourself. It's good for you. It's good for everybody. You have my total esteem. Many blessings.